Welcome to the Connected Leaders Academy virtual conference designed to reshape your vision of transformation. As we navigate the evolving business landscape, our speakers will unveil innovative strategies to manage and initiate change. Prepare to adapt, innovate, and lead, ensuring your role as a catalyst in this transformative era.
Hi, my name is Bethany Stone, and I'm the founder of Thriving by Nature Coaching. So I'm going to be talking today about potential because I feel like we all have such amazing potential within us, and it's really difficult at times to recognize that. I come from a long line of people that have had great potential, and I've been able to witness that in my life. I feel like we all have tapped and untapped seeds of potential within us. And when we look at others and look around us, we can see others that have achieved great, amazing things and have had amazing opportunities and really reached their potential in our sight and in the way that we observe them. Another thing that I think that we sometimes will see is people that will have great potential and we'll just think, oh, they had so much potential. Why did they throw that away? And there's this spectrum of potential that we kind of grasp and look at. But within us, we all have these great seeds that just need fostering and growth. One of these seeds of potential, or these people that I have been able to observe in my life, not my whole life, but a large portion of my life, well, all of my life, is my dad. My dad is a person that has really discovered his potential and learned how to foster and grow his potential. My dad is an immigrant from Switzerland. He immigrated to America with a degree in horticulture and 4 different languages, and none of which of those languages were English. He was very intelligent, very smart, and thought, okay, if I immigrate to America, I will be able to learn English. So he decided that he was going to serve a mission for his church, and they don't get to choose where they serve, but he knew the likelihood of serving in this mission, he'd be called somewhere in the US and be able to learn English. Well, as chance would have it, he was actually called to Texas, Spanish speaking. And he has a very thick European Swiss accent. He went to Texas, he served for 2 years, and he learned a pretty good amount of Spanish, along with some English, and we jokingly call it, he learned, Spanglish and Swissican, because he has such a strong accent with everything that he spoke. But even though he had this language boundary, he knew that he wanted to start something. He wanted to have the American dream. And that was something that he talked about quite a bit growing up, is that, this was my dream, to come to America, to be able to have my own business. After he was done with his time serving the Lord, he actually looked at my mom. Now, my mom, he knew her because as growing up, they were children together and their parents were great friends, and she actually was in the US. He looked her up, he found her, and she actually only lived 3.5 hour drive away. He would go and he would drive to go see her. My mom was engaged to another man, but my dad was persistent, and my mom was able to see the potential that my dad had and the drive that he had. She broke off her engagement and she married my dad. They moved to a really small community, 1,000 people, and they were very poor. They were not well off. They struggled. And my dad would teach ski lessons during the day and milk cows at night, saving up money to be able to start his little landscaping business. They finally were able to have a greenhouse, and with a greenhouse, you get to grow plants. Plants are a huge part of my life because of this. Plants are really also expensive for landscaping businesses. So my dad had my mom and all of us kids, as we started coming along, help to grow plants in this greenhouse. Now, these plants would grow with little tiny seeds. Each one of these seeds grew in something that would have a beautiful flower, a tree, or even produce fruit. I was able to witness and watch this miracle growing up, and it literally changed my life to be able to watch seeds grow and to watch the potential that every seed had. Today, my dad and my mom, because they have this business together, they have done all of this together. They are amazing. They have been in business for 43 years. They have been recognized in Idaho, because that's where I'm from, for their entrepreneurship in this business. My dad was able to achieve potential and achieve the American dream. It is a beautiful thing. They now have 50 employees. They service 60-mile radius. They have been the greatest examples of potential for me. I want to go back to a seed. So again, we have seeds. Every one of us has seeds of potential deep within us. These seeds need to be fostered, just like a regular seed. I'm going to give a little bit of a lesson. Every single seed has a covering around itself. These coverings of a seed is called a testa. They keep the inside of the seed, which is called a cotyledon, they keep that seed dormant. They keep it asleep. Now, when the seed has the most perfect environment, the water, the sunshine, the pH, everything is just right, that testa that is around the seed, and I think it's interesting that's called a testa because I feel like we are tested. That testa tells the rest of the seed the potential of what that seed has to grow into. Now is the time. Now is the time to grow. Put down some roots, start swelling, and let's grow into something. Every single one of us has this potential inside of us. We each have these seeds. They may not be a physical seed that we can hold, but they are real and they are basically the same anatomy. We have a covering around our potential, and it's not able to grow or to tell the rest of it to thrive until the environment is correct. And sometimes we have to create that environment. My dad, he saw his potential and he stayed the course. He knew that even when things were hard and even when things were difficult, that he could achieve what he wanted to, and he continued. I had this amazing example growing up, and it really drove me to be quite a successful individual as well as a child. As a child, I was on the soccer field. I was always in school musicals, always playing soccer, and I did competitive ballroom dancing from the time that I was 8 years old. I was second in the nation for 2 years in a row in standard dancing, and it's something that filled my life. I was very driven. I was just busy and I felt fulfilled. I felt like I had grown my seeds to an amazing potential. I felt like I was ready to produce fruit. Like I was strong. I graduated school early. And I got into an accelerated program after graduating school, which taught me how to speed read. And we would have to speed read and then write a literature paper at the end of every single week. And we had books, so many books. And our math was actually studying the mathematicians. We'd have to study the mathematicians and then write about them. It was the most amazing way of learning, is to study the foundations. With this learning came a great opportunity. By the time I was 17, I was done with my teaching degree. And I had to face the opportunity. And I'm saying face it because it was an opportunity, yet very, very scary at 17, to move out of state and away from home and start my internship as a teacher. I did it. And I still continue to thrive, and I was able to face difficult things. And I was able to look at scary things and I can do this. Take the deep breath and just go forward. It really helped me. Now, a couple of years in, I have done my internship. I love what I'm doing. I love it. Like, still to this day, teaching is literally my calling. I don't know how not to teach. It is embedded into my soul. And I taught and I taught, and pretty soon I met a man, and I thought my potential was so great, and he was wonderful. We got married. I was 19. A couple weeks before my 20th birthday, I had my first son. That first year was marital bliss. I loved being married. I loved being a mom. I loved where I was in life. But things quickly changed. He had undiagnosed mental illness that he self-medicated with, and drugs and alcohol. And I often was on the other end of that repercussion of the negative effects of those things. And it was difficult. Went through many trials, many things, and my great potential, everything that I had grown, started to be trampled on. My plants became sick, and I started to wither away. I started to not have that great drive that I did, because it kind of affects you. Well, it really affects you when you are just trodden and beaten down continually. I stayed for 10 years, and we have 3 little boys. And when I was able to leave that marriage, I was diagnosed with PTSD and battered wife syndrome pretty severely. And very quickly, because I was not okay, not okay. I literally was just crushed into dust. Nothing was okay anymore. An even more wicked, evil man found me and told me all the things I wanted to say, and I was not okay. And I quickly rebounded into an even more abusive relationship, which I didn't think was possible. It was a very, very difficult time for my boys and I. And this one was so different in the fact that there was more emotional abuse. And if you were to ask me if I would prefer emotional or physical abuse, which is a terrible question to ask anyone, I would definitely choose physical abuse over emotional abuse. Physical abuse happens and then stops. Emotional abuse are the things that create that disease in your heart and in your seeds. It creates the disease and it spreads. It spreads and spreads and spreads until your plant is not just trodden, your plant is now dust. And with just a wisp of wind, you could just blow away. I was at this point. I was at this point so much so that I had forgotten everything. I really was the person that came from a strong family that persevered and could do amazing things. I was the person that was a ballroom champion. I was the person that played the lead in school musicals. And here I am, lying in bed, thinking that life would be better without me. And I was trodden down to dust. It was definitely at this moment when I was lying in bed, not being able to get up, feeling like I had no more hope, no more dreams, no more anything, because I had been diseased and poisoned to such an extent that didn't think any doctoring could fix. No sunlight, no water, no nutrients could fix the disease that had now been covering all of my seeds. But as I was lying in bed, thinking about the pills I could take to make all the pain go away, I looked outside the window. And being a Montessori teacher and instructor for so long, I knew quite a bit about birds and zoology and plants. And I looked out of the window, and right there on the window, there was two hummingbirds making a nest right outside on my tree. I knew that this was a little mercy and a gift from God, because I also knew that hummingbirds, their nests are nearly invisible, and they take the softest materials in nature to build a nest and to shape it around their bodies and to weave it just so. I actually have that nest to this day. What happened? This moment of looking outside of myself, I remembered. I remembered that I had great potential. I remembered that I had value. I remembered that I could do hard things, just like those little hummingbirds. And my little seed, even though it's diseased, even though it may have been black, there was still life inside of my seeds. And I was able to have the right environment in that little glimpse of gratitude to spark some growth inside of my seed. When you spark growth in your potential and in your seeds, you will continue to grow potential if you can recognize that. I recognize that. And I decided to pick myself up and to do the things that I knew that I love to do. I started to run. I love running. I started to cook again. I love to cook. And I started writing again. When I did the things that I knew would fulfill me, all that did was start to grow that seed, started to grow that potential again. It started to nurture, fertilize, and create the proper environment for thriving. This is a story that's really close to my heart because I experienced it. But when I see others and I can see their potential, and just like we spoke about at the very beginning, you see potential and they're not tapping into it. I've been there. I have been there. You can have great potential and your environment can crush you down. There's so many things that can happen, but it's how you perceive things and how you look at your life to know what you need to be doing. So, since I've been doing this for a little bit, I have actually discovered the two secrets to actually continue and grow your potential. Even if you're trodden down, even if you have diseased seeds, even if you feel like you cannot move forward anymore, there is still a way. So, what are these 2 secrets? The 2 secrets are something that I created a long time ago, but it really has helped me. The first one is a better me list. When I was trodden down and not okay, and I started doing the things I knew I loved to do, I started creating a list for myself. And this was, I call it a better me list. And I started with 3 things on my list that I wanted to do every day. So I felt like I had worth. First thing I did was I would drink water. The second thing I would do is make my bed. The third thing I would do is I would pray. That's all I did. If I could do these things every single day, I knew that I was going to be better. I knew that I was going to make progress. And I knew that I had a sense of accomplishment and I had value and I had worth. I have been doing a Better Me list for years and years now. I now have 16 things on my Better Me list. I add all the time. And this really continues to make me feel like a strong person. The next thing is gratitude. Something happened when I saw those hummingbirds. The hummingbirds really helped me to understand, to look outside of myself, to have gratitude. I was grateful for that. Gratitude is something that changes your perspective. When you can look outside of yourself, then you can do anything. When you are grateful and you have a sense of gratitude, I think that that is probably the best fertilizer you can give any seed. If you fertilize those seeds of gratitude, I don't know if you've seen Miracle-Gro, but it works really well. Gratitude is like Miracle-Gro on steroids, and it will grow your seeds to an extent that you will not even understand. Growth is something that we all can have within us. These are the 2 secrets I have learned. I have learned through experience. I have learned through life. We create these fences, these invisible dog fences around us that will zap us if we cross them. Some people call it the bubble. You know, you have a bubble around you. Outside of that bubble is your potential. I like to call it uncomfortable growth. When we're doing things that are uncomfortable, remember that we're growing. You need to have uncomfortable growth. You need to be uncomfortable to grow. Stretch yourself. Do things that can help you. We all know, and most of us have heard about the British cycling team that never had a gold medal for 100 years. And all they did was 1% increments. And the 1% increments increased their ability to achieve so much quicker. In 365 days, they were 37.78% better than they were when they began. If we continue to work on ourselves every single day, we will be able to increase our growth, grow our seeds, and have the potential to grow into something beautiful. I challenge everybody who is on this conference to create a Better Me list today. You can grow and have that potential to do something amazing. I'm Bethany Stone, and I'm so grateful that I was able to present this to you today. And I know that you all will have the potential to grow within. Thank you.
Thank you for participating in today's enlightening session. As we transition to our next expert, remember that each strategy and insight is a step toward becoming a transformative leader in your field. Visit connectedleadersacademy.com to stay engaged and informed. The journey of change is ongoing. Let's move forward together.